Yes, this bizarre historical event actually happened. One of the greatest generals faced off against actual rabbits and lost. But how exactly did that happen? The most agreed upon history puts it like this. In July of 1807, after recently signing the Treaty of Tilsit, subsequently ending the war between the French and the Russians, Napoleon wanted to celebrate. So what better than a rabbit hunt? So that's exactly what his chief of staff, Alexander Berthier, did. He arranged an outdoor lunch and got the necessary weaponry, and proceeded to go on the hunt to collect a ridiculous amount of rabbits. The estimate puts the number between a few hundred to as many as 3,000 rabbits. Succeeding this, Berthier and his men caged them along a grassy field and readied Napoleon. So what happened next? Napoleon, accompanied by beaters to drive the rabbits out, and his gun bearers began the hunt. However, this is where it began to go downhill for Napoleon and his army of sorts. Instead of fleeing, the rabbits bound towards Napoleon, as if he was the one being hunted. I presume he didn't look as calm during this encounter. But so on. According to the account, Napoleon and his men took it humorously to begin, but noticing that the rabbits were only growing in numbers, they began to get a little worried. Napoleon made an attempt to shoe the rabbits with his riding crop, and his coachmen with their bullwhips, which appeared to work, for the meantime. And according to, this guy, recorded this in one of his memoirs. Quote, "The intrepid rabbits turned the emperor's flank, attacked him frantically in the rear, refused to quit their hold, piled themselves up between his legs till they made him stagger, and forced the conqueror of conquerors, fairly exhausted, to retreat and leave them in possession of the field." However, the rabbit onslaught did not end here. Apparently, some rabbits continued their pursuit towards Napoleon's imperial carriage, with some even leaping on board. The attack only ceased when Napoleon fled in his carriage. Yes, Napoleon ran from the rabbits. But how did the powerful Napoleon Bonaparte lose a battle to rabbits? Well, the answer comes from the mistake of his chief of staff. Berthier was, quote, "not aware that there could be any difference between one rabbit and another, which resulted in him purchasing tamed rabbits in place of trapping wild ones." But what exactly did this mean? It meant that the rabbits, instead of seeing Napoleon as a hunter, saw him as their farmer, and after being trapped in a cage all day with no food, they were probably demanding some answers. Following the eventful evening, one of Napoleon's generals, Paul Thibodeau, added, quote, "the poor rabbits had flung themselves on them with all the more eagerness that they had not been fed that day." And later, quote, "the laughter which this revelation elicited may be guessed." Anyways, that's the history of how the fearsome commander lost a battle to rabbits. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing for my future content.